Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, Meta sets the corporate world on fire with an 8,000-person AI pivot, a jury clears Sam Altman in the billionaire battle for OpenAI, and Mark Cuban makes a shocking cross-aisle alliance on drug prices.
Right, and when you really look at all of this, the market is just demanding this unprecedented scale of optimization.
Exactly. I mean, imagine showing up to work on Monday and the entire middle management layer of your company hasn't just been fired, it's been completely replaced by a dashboard and an API call.
Yeah, no boss, no weekly check-ins, just an algorithm tracking your output.
Right. And we are looking at a massive stack of sources today for you, and they all point to this one brutal theme, big tech and society at large are ruthlessly cutting out the middleman.
Well, when you strip away the corporate PR, you see the actual structural shift happening right in front of us. Anyone whose job is simply to, stand between two things is just being systematically deleted.
Yeah, whether that's a human manager standing between a coder and a CEO, or a traditional software vendor standing between a company and its data.
Or even a healthcare broker standing between a patient and a pill. It's the downstream impact, the second-order effect of efficiency.
Right. So let's start with the absolute earthquake that hit the tech sector this morning. The account at Unusual Whales broke the details of this explosive internal memo out of Meta.
Oh, yeah, the 8,000-person cut.
Exactly. They are laying off roughly 8,000 employees, that is 10% of their workforce, starting May 20, 2026. But the headline isn't just the sheer number,
Right, it's the reallocation.
Yeah, they're reassigning 7,000 people to new AI initiatives. And this is the crazy part. They're completely eliminating managerial roles to create a flatter structure.
But is it really about creating a quote-unquote flatter team structure?
You don't think so?
I think that's just the palatable excuse for a desperate capital reallocation, frankly. Look at the balance sheets of these tech giants right now. They are staring down massive, unavoidable AI server costs.
Yeah, NVIDIA chips and the data center buildouts are just bleeding them dry.
Exactly. So the cynical, realistic view here is that Meta is just liquidating its tech middle class to pay for compute power.
There is a massive financial incentive, absolutely. But there's also a functional argument being made by industry leaders right now.
Sure.
The user at Signal posted a clip referencing the Airbnb CEO, and he essentially argued that pure people managers are rapidly losing their value compared to, technically involved individual contributors.
Well, yeah, if you think about the mechanics of what a middle manager actually does.
Right. It's kind of like a commercial airline flight.
Yeah.
If you switch from human pilots to a fully autonomous drone system, the co-pilot isn't just redundant.
They're aerodynamic drag.
Exactly. They add weight, they consume resources, but they aren't actually touching the controls anymore.
Historically, a manager's function is synthesis, right?
Yeah.
They track the progress of 10 developers, summarize the roadblocks, and report this smoothed-over version of the data up to the executives.
Yeah, totally.
But what its Signal points out is that AI natively automates that synthesis. A CEO today just doesn't need a VP to summarize Jira tickets.
Right. The AI just reads the code base, checks the commit history, and generates a real-time, unvarnished dashboard.
Exactly. You cut out the human manager, and suddenly the executive gets the raw truth without the office politics distorting the summary.
But then how far do we actually push that automation? Because a user named its soul, that's Rune on X, he pushed this to the absolute extreme today.
Oh, I saw this one.
Yeah, he argues that if we want civilization to achieve artificial superintelligence, or ASI, we have to grant these systems extreme autonomy.
Right.
He says they need the freedom to execute actions that aren't even legible to humans, meaning the AI shouldn't have to, slow down to explain its logic to us.
Yeah, Rune calls human oversight a legibility tax, which is honestly a terrifying phrase.
It really is. He compares it to a board of directors empowering a visionary CEO like Steve Jobs. You don't micromanage Steve Jobs, You get out of his way and let him build.
But the argument there is that if an AI has to translate its multidimensional problem solving into a format a human can understand, it loses its speed advantage.
Exactly. Organizations that cede total control to the machine will basically outcompete those that demand human oversight.
And the collateral damage is that we're creating this incredibly unstable equilibrium. Companies are economically incentivized to lock themselves out of the cockpit just to maintain a profit margin against rivals.
Right, and if the economic incentive is to remove human guardrails inside the company, it raises massive questions about who actually controls the underlying technology making these decisions,
Oh, absolutely. The governance piece is huge.
Yeah, and the courtroom battle over who fundamentally owns that AI future just came to a screeching halt in Oakland today.
The speed of this legal resolution was almost as surprising as the tech itself, honestly.
Seriously. Breaking updates from @WatcherGuru and a user named Ines123ABC, who was live reporting the trial, they confirmed that a jury took exactly 90 minutes to deliver a verdict in Elon Musk's lawsuit against OpenAI and Sam Altman.
90 minutes.
Yeah.
That is incredibly fast for a case this complex.
I know, right? The jury found Musk's three core claims, which were breach of charitable trust, aiding and abetting breach, and unjust enrichment, completely time-barred. Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers accepted the verdict, and the trial is just over.
Well, we really need to explain the mechanics of what time-barred actually means here, because this was not like a moral vindication of Sam Altman.
Right, it's a legal technicality.
Exactly. The jury did not rule that OpenAI honored its original nonprofit mission when it pivoted to a $30 billion for-profit giant. They ruled on the statute of limitations.
So in California, if you want to sue for breach of contract or fiduciary duty, you have a very specific window of time to file the paperwork after the alleged breach occurs.
And the jury essentially said, Musk, you waited too long.
Yeah, so OpenAI's lawyers basically ran out the clock. But, what does that mean for the billions of dollars tied up in OpenAI's equity right now?
The immediate impact is simply that the money stays put. The corporate defense lawyers did their job.
Right. OpenAI doesn't have to disgorge its profits or hand its IP back to a nonprofit board.
Right. But the fundamental governance issues are totally unresolved.
Yeah.
I mean, who ultimately controls these models?
Yeah, or how do we legally define when an AI company abandons its charter? None of that was answered in Oakland.
Exactly. And knowing Musk's playbook, an appeal is practically guaranteed here. This dark cloud of litigation is going to hover over the entire sector for years.
Well, if the courts aren't going to establish rules for how these AI models operate, the market is just going to move forward without them. And right now, the market is weaponizing these models to gut another massive middleman, which is enterprise software subscriptions.
Oh, yeah. The traditional SaaS model, software as a service, is entirely in the crosshairs right now.
It really is. So Ben Durity, the CEO of Abacus AI, posted a demo today that completely changes the math for enterprise IT.
The Agent Swarm video, right?
Yes. She showcased an agent swarm. And this isn't just one chat bot, It's a synchronized system combining three different flagship models. You've got Claude Opus 4.7, GPT 5.5, and Gemini 3.2.
Yeah, which is an incredible amount of compute working together.
Oh, totally. And she gave the swarm a prompt, and it autonomously built a complex, full-stack HR management system from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, a web portal, a mobile interface, secure authentication, leave tracking, everything. Her message was incredibly blunt. Stop paying per seat licenses for CRMs. Start paying sauce vendors.
Right. Just have an AI swarm build custom internal software tailored to your exact needs for a fraction of the cost.
Exactly.
I mean, it looks revolutionary in a 2-minute social media video. But dig into the replies from actual software architects on that post.
Oh, they were heavily skeptical.
Extremely. Look, an agent swarm can absolutely build a beautiful web portal on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
But who debugs the system when the database deadlocks at 3 a.m. on a Sunday?
Right. Are you going to wake up the agent swarm?
Exactly. Current large language models are notoriously bad at maintaining complex code bases over time because they lack persistent understanding.
So the fear is they just create a huge mess.
Yeah. If you let autonomous agents generate thousands of lines of unverified code, you aren't replacing saws.
Yeah.
You are just generating unmaintainable spaghetti code that no human engineer will ever be able to untangle.
I hear the skepticism, but developers are already engineering their way out of that exact problem. A developer named Tharik Handel at TiraQ212, he shared a viral prompt specifically for Claude code that tackles your 3 a.m. nightmare.
Oh, really? How?
He forces the AI to implement a software spec, but strictly requires it to generate a parallel file called implementation-notes.html.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The AI is forced to log every architectural decision it makes that wasn't explicitly in the prompt, every trade-off, and any ambiguity it had to guess at.
Now, that is a brilliant workaround for the unknown unknowns. The AI is essentially being forced to document its own internal logic trail.
Right, so if the system crashes 6 months from now, a human developer can open that HTML file and actually understand the architectural decisions the machine made.
That's smart.
Mm.
But to deploy agent swarms at a true enterprise scale, you still need incredibly robust, specialized infrastructure.
Which is exactly why the big players are scrambling to buy up the plumbing of the internet. At Anthropic AI just announced they are acquiring Stainless API.
Yeah, that is a massive power play.
It really is. Now, if you aren't deep in developer tools, Stainless API is the platform that generates SDKs, software development kits, and MCP servers.
Right, an SDK is basically the starter toolbox developers use to integrate an API into their app.
And MCP servers are the secure protocols AI agents use to talk to external databases. So Anthropic basically just bought the factory that makes the toolboxes.
And here's the strategic throat punch in all of this.
Yeah.
OpenAI relied heavily on Stainless API for their own infrastructure.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. So Anthropic just legally acquired the foundational plumbing that their biggest rival depends on.
Mm-hmm.
It is a ruthless chokehold on the developer ecosystem.
Wow.
Though, there is a hilarious irony in the user reactions today. Anthropic makes this multi-million-dollar infrastructure play, and all the users in the comments are just ignoring it, begging them not to deprecate the older Sonnet 4.5 model.
Right, because they like its conversational personality.
Exactly. The executors are fighting over API plumbing, and the users treat the AI like a beloved pet.
That's amazing. But the ecosystem wars are getting cutthroat on every front. The @OpenAI Devs account posted an update for their Codex desktop app.
Yeah, the Mac update.
Yeah, you can now leave your Mac powered on at home and seamlessly run heavy remote coding agents on it while you sit at a coffee shop typing on the ChatGPT mobile app.
Which is an incredible workflow unlock, assuming you are in the Apple ecosystem.
Right. I did notice the replies were completely flooded with frustrated Windows users.
Oh, they were furious.
Yeah.
Apple maintains this absolute stranglehold on developers, and OpenAI is inadvertently cementing that dominance by prioritizing seamless macOS integration for their most advanced tools.
And the velocity of this arms race isn't slowing down either. A developer named Chedislua posted a demo of Google's new Gemini 3.25 Flash model running on the anti-gravity platform.
Speed on that demo was insane.
Insane. It has a knowledge cutoff of January 2025, and it generates thousands of lines of complex code almost instantly.
Yeah. And at Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, quote tweeted Sundar Pichai today with just 2 words, logged in.
Right. They are preparing for Google I/O tomorrow, and the sheer speed at which these models are evolving is staggering.
It is, but you cannot run at that kind of velocity on a foundation that is actively rotting.
Okay, you're talking about the software supply chain, because if we have AI agents writing code at light speed and automatically pulling in external code libraries to build those custom HR systems we just talked about, the underlying architecture of the internet is basically buckling under the pressure.
It's completely buckling.
Yeah. A developer named @Theo posted a fiery callout today aimed at NPM, the Node Package Manager. That's the central registry where JavaScript developers share code. He highlighted a massive supply chain breach they're calling the Mini Shai-Hu loot attack, named after the giant sandworms in Dune. A trusted maintainer account at NTV was compromised, infecting 639 different software packages.
We really need to explain how structurally broken this system is to begin with.
Go ahead.
When a developer types a command to install a package from NPM, they are blindly downloading code written by strangers.
Which already sounds bad.
It gets worse. NPM allows something called obfuscated pre-install scripts. This means the moment you download the package, before you even run the software, a hidden script executes in the background.
Oh, wow. So in this attack, those hidden scripts silently harvested the developer's secret CI/CD keys and just sent them to a hacker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The entire JavaScript world runs on an honor system that is failing.
Yeah.
If you unleash Bindu Reddy's autonomous AI swarms to build enterprise software, and those swarms are indiscriminately pulling compromised packages off NPM, you are fully automating the integration of malware directly to corporate networks.
That security model is terrifying, I'll grant you that. But the actual foundational engineering of the web is simultaneously getting lighter and faster.
Sure.
Like a project called @Bun JavaScript showcased some incredible under-the-hood optimization today. They successfully ported their core code base from a language called Zig over to Rust.
Right, and Rust is famous for memory safety, but it usually compiles into massive, bloated file sizes because of static linking.
Exactly. But Bun challenged that assumption. They managed to reduce their binary sizes by an average of 6.7 megabytes across 12 different operating systems.
Which is a huge technical achievement.
It is. So yes, the open source supply chain has massive security holes. I agree with you there. But the actual engines running the code are becoming leaner and vastly more efficient. The house might have termites, but at least the new plumbing is lighter and faster.
Leaner engines are great for servers. But let's apply this ruthless pursuit of efficiency to the most complex system of all, which is human biology.
Yes. From upgrading software to upgrading human hardware, we've talked about cutting out the middleman in management and enterprise software. But the biggest, most visceral disruption of 2026 is happening in the healthcare supply chain.
Absolutely.
At Eric Lowe reported on a genuinely unexpected political and economic alliance today. Mark Cuban, who aggressively opposed Donald Trump in 2024, just gave a glowing endorsement to the new federal Trump RX platform.
And honestly, the political optics are totally irrelevant compared to the market mechanics here.
Exactly. And just to be clear for you listening, we're not endorsing any political side here, just breaking down the massive shift in the market that this post highlights. Look at the numbers. 559 of the 600 new drugs on this federal platform are being provided by Cuban's company, Cost Plus Drugs.
Right.
They are selling these medications at a flat, transparent 15% markup.
Which is a targeted assassination of the ultimate healthcare middleman, the PBMs.
The pharmacy benefit managers.
Right. These are the shadowy entities that sit between drug manufacturers and your local pharmacy. They don't make the drugs, and they don't treat the patients.
Yeah, they just negotiate the deals and pocket a massive spread, which is the difference between what the pharmacy gets paid and what your insurance is charged.
Exactly. And Cuban's partnership bypasses them entirely, using most favored nation pricing. That means the federal government gets the absolute lowest direct-to-consumer price Cuban offers.
Permanently locking the PBMs out of the transaction.
Right. The healthcare brokers are being laid off exactly like Meta's middle managers.
We are literally optimizing the cost of staying alive. But if we scale up the stakes, we have to talk about @Brian Johnson. He posted a thread today claiming that we might literally be the first generation to not die.
Oh, Brian Johnson.
Yeah, he clarified he isn't talking about invincibility, like surviving a car crash, but achieving a lifespan so extended by biotechnology that we fundamentally stop factoring biological mortality into our life choices.
Look, it's excellent marketing for his multi-million-dollar blueprint protocol, but let's look at the actual longevity data in 2026.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you analyze the broader science, the life expectancy gains we achieved over the last century by treating specific diseases like heart disease and cancer, those are actually hitting a hard mathematical wall.
You're talking about the plateau in disease treatment.
Exactly. Fixing a clogged artery doesn't stop your cells from fundamentally degrading. Unless biotechnology can crack the core mechanism of biological aging, cellular senescence itself, Johnson's vision of immortality is basically a fantasy for the average person.
Right.
Cheaper generic drugs from Mark Cuban's platform will absolutely help the middle class live comfortably to 85, but drinking green juice and taking 100 pills a day isn't going to push the human body to 150.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's pull all of this together for you. If you look at every story in our stack today, the overriding force is just disintermediation.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether it's Meta firing 8,000 people to flatten the reporting structure, AI swarms replacing per-seat SaaS vendors, or a cross-aisle political alliance cutting PBMs out of the drug supply chain.
Raw, unmitigated efficiency is the new global currency. And the buffers that used to protect the middle class, whether in tech or healthcare, are completely gone.
Which brings us to a very clear prediction for tomorrow.
Yeah, my prediction for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Based on the velocity of these AI agent swarms, expect traditional SaaS companies to start hitting the panic button.
Oh, for sure.
You are going to see a flood of PR statements and thought leadership pieces from legacy software CEOs desperately defending the subscription model. As enterprise clients realize that AI agent swarms are cheaper than paying per-seat licenses, the old guard is going to have to justify why they deserve to exist in a world that fundamentally doesn't need middlemen anymore.
It's a brutal reality check for anyone sitting between the creator and the consumer. If middle managers and software brokers are the aerodynamic drag of the economy, what happens when the machine gets so streamlined that there's no room left for the passengers?
That's the million-dollar question.
Something for you to mull over as you explore these trends on your own this week. That's your market and culture pulse for today. Stay sharp, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Vibecasting.